aiming to help more people open up about their struggles.
Yeah, it's called the Stop Stigma Speakers Bureau, and Viola Ward is part of the Speakers Bureau, and she's been studying counseling psychology, and she's also opening up about her own past depression and how she's overcome that. And this is a really important time for people to kind of start to pay attention to their mental health concerns. Viola, thanks so much for joining us, but are we doing enough to really listening to ourselves when it comes to mental health?
I think lately here we are. I think that we've had an unprecedented year for the last 12 months, and people, I think, are starting to notice that maybe it's time to seek out help. And some people are dealing with mental illness for the first time. Some people have had symptoms before, and I think people are inquiring now about how they can get assistance.
So let's talk about the Speakers Bureau and why it's so important to make sure that people are seeing these stories in order to reduce stigma. And you hear, oh, I had no idea this was going on with someone who looks perfect from the outside.
Absolutely. I think the Speakers Bureau is so important because the mission of it is to reduce stigma associated with mental illness. And it does that by sending people out into the world that are actually living with mental illness, like myself. So like you mentioned, people that may look, regular. I look like I can get through the day. But I also have struggles that I am very candid with, and the team and the Speakers Bureau are also very candid with. And we open up to the world and tell our darkest, deepest secrets when it comes to mental health. And we find oftentimes that people say, me too. I've experienced that at least, once or twice in my life. And I think it gives a unique perspective that we're living with it, but also working to educate people and remove those stigmas that are associated with mental illness.
Yeah, and Viola, I can just say we're just trying to get through the day too, right? I mean, every day is kind of a struggle of its own, so we're with you on that. Well, you also focus on postpartum depression, and let's talk about the struggle there, because it is really all about isolation, right?
Absolutely. Mental illness doesn't discriminate, and I think it gets especially sensitive when there are things like big life changes, like having a child. I had a child last year during a pandemic while being isolated very much, stuck in the house. And I think even in other times, postpartum depression is a serious issue because there's so many changes within mothers, and it also comes with a lot of shame. Comes with a lot of confusion. You may not identify it, and you might think that I'm just a terrible new mom. What's wrong with me? A lot of times those same stigmas that attach to us with different mental illness make us not want to get help. And postpartum depression is a very real thing. The baby blues is what it used to be called. And there is help, even if it's something new that you're experiencing. There's definitely help. There's light at the end of that proverbial tunnel.
So we want to end with that just very quickly, Viola. For anyone who may be watching right now who can really identify with what we're talking about, what would you advise that they do?
I would always advise to check out the Stop Stigma Sacramento website, stopstigmasacramento.org. It has so many resources, not just for postpartum depression, they are there, but for all sorts of different particular issues that you may be dealing with related to mental health. There's a starting point. There's conversation starters if you need help for a loved one or you're just not sure where to begin. There's so much information on the website, and it can get you started and off in the right direction as well.
All right. Well, Viola Ward, thanks for joining us. Just want to say it again, this is part of the Speakers Bureau, the Stop Stigma Speakers Bureau that you're a part of, and just thanks for being so open about everything, and hopefully we'll be able to help some people as a result. Thanks again.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, it's important work. From